I never thought I'd be lying in a hospital bed at 23, staring at white ceiling tiles, listening to machines beep in rhythm with my failing heartbeat. But there I was, my body betrayed by an illness that came out of nowhere and ravaged me within weeks. The doctors had just delivered the news that shattered whatever hope I had left. "We've done everything we can, Rumi. Your organs are shutting down. You have maybe 24 hours. We're so sorry. 24 hours. One day, one final rotation of the earth before I would cease to exist." I watched the doctor's mouth move, explaining things about treatment options they'd exhausted, about making me comfortable, about calling my loved ones. But I couldn't hear anything over the sound of my own heartbeat thundering in my ears, each beat feeling like it could be one of my last. When they left the room, the silence crashed over me like a wave, and I felt myself drowning in it. My parents had been there for days, barely sleeping, barely eating, their faces etched with a pain I'd never seen before. But tonight, the nurses had convinced them to go home and rest. Just for a few hours, they'd said. Get some sleep, shower, eat something. My mother had kissed my forehead, her tears falling on my face, mixing with my own. My father couldn't even look at me as he left. I think seeing me like this was killing him too. So there I was, completely alone, in a sterile room that smelled of antiseptic. And death waiting for my time to run out. I had always been the strong one. Rumi, the fighter. Rumi who never gave up. Rumi who smiled through everything. But lying there with tubes coming out of my arms and oxygen flowing through my nose, I didn't feel strong. I felt small and scared and angry. Angry that I wouldn't get to finish my degree, wouldn't get to travel the world like I'd planned, wouldn't get to fall in love, get married, have children. All those dreams I'd carefully built in my mind were crumbling, and I was powerless to stop it. I thought about all the people I'd never see again. My little brother who looked up to me, my grandmother who used to braid my hair and tell me stories, my best friend from college who I'd promised to be a bridesmaid for. And then I thought about Jinu. God, Jinu, we'd been inseparable once. Two kids who grew up next door to each other, who shared everything from secrets to sandwiches. He was the first person I told when I got into university. I was the first person he called when his father died. We had this bond that felt unbreakable, but life happened. We got busy. I moved away for school. He started working long hours. At his job, our daily calls became weekly, then monthly, then just birthday messages and occasional likes on social media. We drifted the way friends sometimes do. Not because we didn't care, but because we got caught up in our own lives. I hadn't seen him in almost 6 months, and now I never would again. That thought hurt more than the physical pain coursing through my body. It was around 11 at night when I heard footsteps approaching my room. I figured it was a nurse coming to check my vitals again, but then the door opened and there he was. Jinu, standing in the doorway, his hair messy, his jacket half-zipped, his chest heaving like he'd run all the way there. Our eyes met and I saw something in his expression that broke me. It was pure, raw anguish. His eyes were bloodshot, his face pale, and his hands were trembling. "Rumi," he whispered, his voice cracking on my name. He walked slowly to my bed, as if afraid that moving too fast might shatter me. When he reached me, he sank into the chair beside my bed and took my hand. His hands were warm and mine were so cold. I'd forgotten what warmth felt like. I came as soon as I heard. "I'm so sorry I wasn't here sooner. I'm so sorry." I wanted to tell him it was okay, that he didn't need to apologize, but my throat was too tight. Tears were streaming down my face and I couldn't stop them. I'd been trying so hard to be brave, to accept my fate with dignity, but seeing him there, seeing someone who knew me, really knew me, I couldn't pretend anymore. "I'm scared, Jinu," I managed to whisper. "I don't want to die. I'm not ready." He squeezed my hand tighter and I saw tears rolling down his cheeks too. Jinu who never cried. Jinu who was always the strong one, the logical one, the one who held everyone else together. "Listen to me," he said, his voice fierce despite the tears. "You're not dying tonight, you hear me? You're not leaving. I won't let you." The doctors said I started, but he cut me off. "I don't care what the doctors said. I know you, Rumi. I've known you since we were 7 years old. You are the girl who climbed the tallest tree in the neighborhood even though you were terrified of heights, just to prove you could. You are the girl who stood up to those bullies in 8th grade even though they were twice your size. You're the girl who took care of your whole family when your dad was sick, even though you were exhausted. You've never given up on anything in your life. Don't start now." His words pierced through the fog of despair I'd been drowning in. I wanted to believe him, but I was so tired, so incredibly tired. "I don't have any fight left," I whispered. "I've got nothing left to give." "Then I'll fight for you," he said without hesitation. "I'll fight enough for both of us. But Rumi, you have to hold on. You have to try." He pulled his chair closer, never letting go of my hand. "Do you remember when we were 15 and you told me you were scared of dying? We were lying on your roof looking at the stars, and you said you were terrified that one day you'd just stop existing. Do you remember what I said?" I nodded weakly. I remembered that night so clearly. The summer air, the fireflies, the way the stars seemed close enough to touch. "I told you that you were going to live a long, beautiful life. I promised you that, and I've never broken a promise to you, have I?" His voice was desperate now, pleading. "So you have to trust me. You have to believe me when I say you're going to get through this." For the next several hours, Jinu stayed right there beside me. He didn't leave, not even when the nurses told him visiting hours were over, not even when they threatened to call security. He somehow convinced them to let him stay, and I think seeing the desperation in his eyes, they understood. This wasn't just a visit, this was a vigil. This was love in its purest form, a friend refusing to let another friend face death alone. He talked to me through the night, his voice a constant anchor in the darkness. He reminded me of every memory we'd ever made together. The time we got lost in the woods behind our houses and had to follow a stream back home. The time we stayed up all night studying for finals and ended up just talking about life instead. The time I helped him through his father's funeral when he couldn't speak and I spoke for him. The time he drove 3 hours in a snowstorm just to bring me soup when I had the flu. "We have so much left to do," he said, around 3 in the morning when my condition seemed to be getting worse. The machines were beeping more frantically, and I could see panic in his eyes, but he kept talking, kept holding my hand. "We never went on that road trip we planned, remember? We were going to drive across the country, just you and me, stopping at every weird roadside attraction we could find. We never did that. And what about that restaurant we always talked about opening? You were going to cook and I was going to manage it, and we'd call it something ridiculous like Rumi and Jinu's Catastrophe Kitchen." I managed a weak smile at that. Even now, even here, he could make me smile. "And you promised," he continued, his voice breaking, "you promised that you'd be there when I got married. You said you'd be the one to tell me if I was making a mistake. You said you'd dance at my wedding and embarrass me with stories from our childhood. You can't break that promise, Rumi. You can't." Something in his words, in his absolute refusal to accept my death, ignited a tiny spark inside me. It was small, barely there, but it was something, a will to fight, a reason to hold on. I realized that giving up didn't just mean leaving my own dreams behind, it meant leaving him behind. It meant breaking every promise we'd ever made to each other. It meant a world where he'd have to go on without me, carrying the weight of my loss. I don't know where I found the strength, but I squeezed his hand back. It was weak, barely a pressure, but he felt it. His eyes widened and he leaned closer. "That's it," he whispered. "That's my Rumi. Fight. Please fight." As dawn broke through the hospital window, painting the room in soft orange and pink light, something miraculous happened. My breathing, which had been labored and shallow, seemed to steady. The machines, which had been screaming warnings all night, began to quiet. The nurses who came in for the morning check looked shocked. They called for the doctor. Tests were run. And when the results came back, everyone was stunned. The doctor stood at the foot of my bed, looking at the charts with disbelief. I don't know how to explain this," he said slowly. "Your organ function is improving. Your vitals are stabilizing. This is extraordinary. Last night we were certain, but now," he trailed off, shaking his head in amazement. Jinu looked at me, and the smile that broke across his face was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Pure joy, pure relief, pure love. "I told you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I told you that you weren't leaving. The road to recovery was long. There were setbacks and scary moments. There were times when I wanted to give up all over again. But every time I faltered, Jinu was there. He visited every single day. He brought me books when I was bored, helped me walk when I needed to rebuild my strength, and held me when I cried from frustration and pain. He never let me forget that I was a fighter, that I was stronger than I knew. It's been 2 years since that night. 2 years since I was given 24 hours to live and somehow survived. The doctors still can't fully explain what happened. They talk about medical anomalies and unexpected recoveries, but I know the truth. Science saved my body, but Jinu saved my soul. His refusal to let me go, his unwavering belief in me, his love, that's what pulled me back from the edge. We're closer now than we've ever been. That night changed us both. It reminded us that life is fragile, that the people we love can be taken from us in an instant, and that we should never take a single moment for granted. We made a new promise to each other. No more drifting apart, no more letting life get in the way, no more assuming we'll have tomorrow. Sometimes when I'm having a hard day, when the memory of that night creeps back in and I feel that old fear rising, I look at Jinu and I remember that even in our darkest moments, we're never truly alone. I remember that love, real, genuine, selfless love, has a power that defies logic and reason. I remember that sometimes all we need to survive is one person who refuses to give up on us. I'm still here because of him, because he showed up when it mattered most, because he held my hand through the longest night of my life and refused to let go, because he reminded me that my story wasn't over yet. And now, every day I wake up is a gift, every breath I take is a miracle, and every moment I spend with the people I love is precious beyond measure. That's my story. That's how I survived when I shouldn't have. That's how a friendship became the difference between life and death. And that is why I'll spend the rest of my life making sure that the second chance I was given wasn't wasted, because Jinu didn't fight for me just so I could exist. He fought for me so I could truly live.